What's up, team? Welcome back to our lab. It's your biggest fan. And I'm working on this concept here, this note, what I call a thought entity. And this is based on the word heuristics. And I had the question, is heuristical a word? And it is a word. This right here is the definition and concept of heuristical. And what I'm doing is, as I'm learning this, I'm going through and I'm marking it up. And when I say marking it up, I'm highlighting concepts, terms, things that I don't understand, that I want to learn more about, things that I think I should go research more on. I'm cleaning up the text. This was generated using an AI prompt, and I don't show the exact prompt, but it's a custom prompt that I generated in ChatGPT some time ago, and I'll show it to you. I have it. I think I still have it pulled up. But what I'm doing is I'm completing this definition right here. So definition and concept of what is the question. And so once I do this, Control C, I can take this and paste it there. Definition and concept of heuristical. Now this becomes a thought entity of itself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I absolutely understand. But this is how all information and data is structured to some extent. And your mind works like this too. And if you study this stuff long enough, not the things that I'm talking of, well, heuristics, then you begin to see how you as an individual operate as a part of a larger system, and how you may think about things or do things in the world. And I'm not here to talk about that. This is specifically for the technological aspects or principles of this. I'm trying to figure out how to zoom out here real quick. So this is specifically for the technological aspects, our ability to store this information and then reference it later on. And this is related to a larger concept. And so here at the top of this page, we have what's called metadata. And this metadata it tells the computer system or whatever system that we're using about the information that's contained on this page. So basically we can use some sort of program and we can say, hey, go look at this file and then look for this specific information. And if any of this information meets the criteria that we specify, then return the results. And if we're looking for information inside of something, for instance, maybe we would perform a search. We're looking for the definition of heuristical or the definition of heuristic. We would look in the metadata, and whatever application we were using, it would say, hey, right, this metadata says that this has an alias of heuristical, and it has a date of this date right here. And this is where it came from, so it has some context. And then here again, we have the origin date, and then we have the origin time. And so now the system is able to rank order by this information. So it can bring the most recent, most relevant information to the top, and then it can search systematically through each of those pieces of information to the source information. And then now it's going through the definitions and it's looking for, there's no dates and times in here, but it's like there's criteria we can set. Right, what has the most information? Are we looking for a particular definition or this, that, and the third? And then the system, as it gets smarter, it could come back and ask us questions. This is me thinking out loud about how to talk to machines, essentially. And then we have LLMs and stuff like that right now. But for some time now, I've been thinking through how this could potentially work. Not this, but how LLMs function now. I was thinking about how I could enact that functionality before someone figured it out. But I didn't talk about this stuff because I thought I was crazy in my head. Like I thought, and there's a lot of other things to talk about. There are a lot of coincidences and stuff that I went through that led me to this realization about technology and reality and all sorts of stuff. But again, we're not here to talk about those things. This is specifically for our ability to store and reference information. So now we have this what I call an atomic thought entity here, where we can, and then this is some of the original information, right? So if we go here and look up here, we have our original alias, our alias, which was the original title. or it, and then our chrono index title, which when all this is taken into account. And so this is just a different, so the alias is a different name for the main name. So we could have multiple names for a file. We could say getting heuristical, for instance. And actually, this isn't the right property. So we need another property, aliases. And then we could say heuristical, or getting, like I said before, getting wild with heuristics, or getting wild with heuristical. So getting wild. So now essentially, by way of this metadata, we have the ability to give one file an infinite number of names. And so this one file could become a single source of truth for everything related to heuristical. But then there's more, right? We have the ability to create concepts within that. So right now here for this concept, we have definition and concept of heuristical, which is a child concept of, in the term, is the term heuristical a word in this particular case? But now when we get to, when we go back here, we have a more robust definition of this. So maybe, not even maybe, this becomes its own word, the definition, right? And then it would be, what is this document? This is the origin, etymology, and definition of the word. And then this becomes a template. So now whenever we look up a word, we want the origin, etymology, and definition, and we want it to follow this particular pattern or structure. And so now us as individuals, when we go learn this stuff, it's structured in a way that we understand because we built the structure. And because we built the structure, and it's structured in a way we can understand, when we begin to break these things down, we can break them down into our own systems. We can break them down into our own folder structures, our own atomic thoughts, and then we can use these things in our everyday world. So if I want to write about heuristics or speech patterns, I can go and I can grab, what is the origin and etymology of? And then I could say words related to psychology or speech or origin. And then whatever system that we've created or programmed, it can use all of this metadata information that we generated, aliases and everything, parse over that information and go, these things seem the most relevant, and then go through those pieces of data and then return those to us. And now we have these large language models that we're using. We could then have the large language model not create content for us, not do all the work for us, but organize that content in a form that we can read and understand. And then we can go through and make our outlines and do whatever we need to do. And when we're done, we will have a concrete understanding of what it is that we have just studied. But beyond that, if we want to learn it, immediately we have to go apply it to something. And so this is a part of that process for me. I'm still in the process of doing my research, but I'm showing you the research that I'm doing. And even in this process of me talking about this stuff, if you can tell, when I first started talking, I wasn't on this same sort of tonality. So by me going through the process, I solidify the thoughts in my mind. I create a record of what it is that what it is that I'm studying, that can both be used to improve the information, and then like this becomes content. It's something out in the world. Like, so, and I'm thinking of all these other concepts that come to mind when I think about this stuff. So, but now we've not covered heuristics, but I have the word. And just in this video, I gave myself a whole template system, a templating system to use. And I actually mapped out how I want the work to flow, how I want my workflow to be. And then I talked about the structures that accompany those flows. Now, if we look over here, I just have a bunch of folders right now. I'm not even sure what, actually, this isn't even the folders. This is recent documents. So if we go here, so I have a structure here, but then I have a lot of stuff that's loose down here. And remember, I was talking about metadata and LLMs, right? So I have a lot of entries. Some of them are empty. Like this one I don't need this, right? It can go away, but maybe I created this in relation to something else, right? And so this, right, I don't think there's anything related to this. So if I check the backlinks And then this is related to that date, and then it's related to a Word page. So I was working on a Word page template this day. Then what was so for a dictionary, right? So the templates, what I just talked about in this particular video, that's what I was looking for. And now out of all of these concepts, I have the recent ones that I've just gone through. And then I can pull all those together in something like the workbench down in their own separate area. And I can be like, all right, dictionary templates. We're working on a word page template. We've got, and I was led here by all this stuff by way of this video that I'm recording now, because of this blank note that had nothing in it. So I'm not going to get rid of any of this stuff, because I can use now, because now that I'm describing this in the video, I can just grab all of this information and then I can even talk about it while I'm here. While I was recording the video, I came across this note that had no name, and I was going to delete it, but then I decided to check the backlinks and the references to it, and that led me to a concept of creating a dictionary template page for when I research words, which is what the video I was recording is about. Even though that original note without the date was made on June 26 at 13:06, I recorded this video on July 24th, year 2025 at 5:58, demonstrating how by keeping a journaling system, we can link our thoughts across time and turn them into something. We can transmute them into something else. So for me, these thoughts, they became a video, a blog post, an email, potentially an outline for a book, research for software development, and it also gave me a somewhat solidified outline for processing data, organizing data, and then ranking that data. And it helped me think through a system for synthesizing information into potential action items that can result in real world products, services, offerings, etc. And that right there was me using technology to help me type this out. Now, this isn't not perfect. I haven't even read through it, but I would have to go read through all this stuff. But because I have like the workbench and the recent notes, and then there's another thing I've got in here called changelog. I have to update it ever so often. And then this updating the changelog in computer science, that falls along the lines of cron jobs, which is a reminder that software isn't instant. You can set software to do things in the background, and a lot of software is doing things in the background. But what I've noticed in modern day development, it's all turned into configurations. Everybody's just running around configuring things. Nobody's really writing any code or thinking through this kind of stuff to optimize these kinds of systems, or even to create these kinds of systems. Because what you see here, this has all been created in a day. Well, not a day, but actually just today alone. This is my daily note. So these are all the concepts that I've covered since I generated this first note here at, it looks to be 9:59 p.m. maybe. Well, see, this couldn't be right. Let me go down here, 0405, because these are other notes that I linked to. So what note did I generate today? And actually, check this out. We do have a system that may be able to help us with that. Chat. And then we want this note. So there's a few things. Active notes insight, provide 3 follow-ups, or note custom. I want this note, but I can't remember the, maybe this is it. Yeah, current. All right, there we go. Are you able to give us the time of the first note created on this page? Let's see. All right. Was 5:06. Okay, so an hour ago. So the first note is, are you able to give us the time of the first note? All right, okay. The first note was created on this day, which is 225/07/24, which is today. And it was created at 6:26. No, 5. This is 50. This is 5:06 a.m. PST with the title of, and then this note right here, Casadero Labs Common Concepts. So in an hour, I've synthesized all these notes. Like, and this is right. This is stuff I've been working on based on things that I was working on yesterday. And so what am I doing? I'm building this system that gives me the ability to research and plan and outline and publish at the speed of thought, maybe. And then reference things when I need it from my own thoughts. As I go through this, I keep thinking of these gardens. I recently started looking at the CSS Zen garden again, which is a website, which reminded me of some templates. So let's see if we could bring up the CSS Zen garden. So CSS Zen garden. And so I've been working on this. This application is what I'm working on. If we go here, we're going to Google this concept. Now, what I want to do is at some point, right, I have these items here. When I go into my knowledge base, I should be able to type CSS Zen garden and hit OK, or like run a specific command, and it knows that I'm looking for a specific website. So of all the notes that I have in my knowledge base, this is the new kind of web browser that maybe I've been working on, but hey, you know. So if we go, say for instance, we're here and we go do, and there's, I wonder if this search will work. Yeah. So we've got this note here, but it's inside of here. Does this appear anywhere else is my ultimate question. And it appears in a couple notes, right? We've got old tech tools. And then there was another one I saw over here. Yeah, so follow, where's it at? Yeah, so here, in our old tech tools, and then down here. And this note, when was this one created? So 05, fleeting thought snapshot. Yeah, so 05, fleeting thought snapshot. And look at all this. This is all contextual information. And so I don't know why I was looking at Deuce Sub Rosa that day. But this is all related to my research in researching, right? Categorizing data, finding the relevancy of that data. And then I believe I was talking about the Google search concept. But as I think about this stuff, I think of gardens. And so we got this website, CSS Zen Garden, which we brought up here. And this is just an old school website that demonstrates actual code, in the sense that much of what I observe in the world has become a bloated abstraction of the original concept. As far as technology and the internet is concerned, software has become far more than it needs to be, in the sense that a lot of software doesn't deliver on what the basic promise of software is. To make our lives easier, to save us time, to save us money, to relieve us of stress, essentially. But for profit and gain, we've turned this around, and now we have these large scale, out of control software systems that take over our lives and cost us considerable amounts of money in lost time and in cognitive overhead. And when I say in lost time, the promise of software, or one of the promises of software, was that it was going to make it possible for us to work less. Instead, what has occurred is it's given us the ability to work more or work exponentially, meaning the 8-hour workday hasn't changed since the Model T, yet we have all this innovation. Maybe the recent layoffs are because of this bloated system. And I'm not proposing anything. I'm just showing that these things are not as complicated as many would make them out to be. And they won't tell you this, whether consciously or subconsciously, because confusion and fear and anxiety and depression and stress and imposter syndrome and in every other label we can put on a feeling of not discomfort, but something else. Unpleasurable. Now I said a lot, and I kind of got lost in my words there. I got to go back and clean that up. But there was something I was going to paste here. I feel like, yeah, the link to the CSS Zen Garden. So essentially what I'm getting at, or was getting at there, and I can type that out. I'm going to see how fast I can go. Essentially what I was getting at there is the fact that, number one, this stuff anybody can learn and do. It looks complicated when somebody else is doing it. To some, it may look like God mode. And for some, it is God mode. Like, it takes a long time to reach a place where you can type fast and think through these concepts and all this complicated stuff that it seems you would have to learn to do to be able to go out and just make a basic living in the world. Let everyone else believe that and understand that all you have to do is start, practice, and there's another word that I'm missing. So I'm going to pause this. And so now I've created, this is like a little blog post about the CSS Zen Garden. So I'm going to the CSS Zen Garden and a return to the first principles of technology and business. It may be a new paradigm, right? There's a concept I've been working on called a new religion, a new kind of religion. And this isn't even the original concept, because the first time I created this, I think I might have made a Twitter poster or something, but I wrote it in some other application. It might have been Simple Note. I just want to go and check and see if that was the case, to see, because I have records of everything. So if we go into Simple Note, hopefully I don't have to log in. And this is just the online note-taking application that I used essentially to help me develop this system here, which I didn't have to write because somebody else had already wrote the text editor. And thanks to GitHub and its millions and millions of contributors, there's people writing all kinds of plugins that if you just put them together in the right way and add your own sauce to them, you get pretty much what you're looking for. I mean, I've come across some things that I want to custom code because I think there's a lot of bloat in here. I know there's a lot of bloat, but anyway, if we go here, what was it we were looking for? A new kind of religion. Let's see. And see, they're executing the same search that I would talk about or was talking. I don't know if I talked about it in this video, but the pass-through search concept. Where you look for, well, this is searching for information where you, if you're searching for a concept, first you'd see your own thoughts on the concept, and then you'd see any references, any reputable references, what you consider to be reputable or relevant, and those could be determined by what you have selected to link your internal references to. So if you were going to search for something, you wouldn't even search on the internet first. You would search through your own library of knowledge, and then that search would execute another layer out. So you get first your most relevant information, and then another layer out from that information would be things that you've referenced from similar concepts or even this concept itself before. So you'd see that information, and then you'd see other information that may support or contradict your core search premise. And then, so like, say for instance, I keep thinking of this deck builder, and I know I was talking about gardens a second ago, but I think about, I don't know how the business works, but like, let's say somebody calls and they're like, hey, we want to build a deck. It's like, cool. All right. What kind of deck do you want? Like, you could describe. And now we're in the 21st century. So it's like, hey, can you send us some pictures? Like, if you got some pictures on your phone of decks right now, send them to us. Like, you got patterns, whatever it is that you want, well, we can do it. Like, that's, and then they're like, yeah, you know, then it's like, and you can, hey, where are you? What's your address? And you can go and research the address. And if you've ever had any jobs in that area, it'll be like, yeah, these jobs here. And then you could bring up a map and see what the decks look like for each of those places. And because you're using your internal reference, you're pulling information from all those previous jobs that you've done in that area. You've got square footages and averages and everything. And then there's external reference sources. So these are all the things that you reference. So your suppliers, right? Is this available? Your paints, right? Your contractors. What are their schedules? So in near real time, you're seeing all of this stuff occur as you're talking to the customer. You don't want a computer to talk to the customer because people like people. But the computer can work side by side in conjunction with you while you're doing this. And then all the external stuff is like, who are other people in this area? Right? That maybe I can refer them to those people, because I'm guessing that if someone implemented something like this, they would have, man, right? And this could be used in any business, but this is like, I'm thinking of it from a customer facing standpoint. This is just one idea. I don't know. There could be somebody who there's an infinite number of ideas. That's why I've learned to focus on concepts, like the first principles of things, because that's where, it's not where I can help the most people, but for whatever reason, when I try to go down a particular rabbit hole, like, I'm pulled back to look at this bigger picture. So it's always been the systems for me. How can I improve and I haven't found all the improvements in any system yet. Like, it's like this full potential. Like, can you take something to it? And then there's a philosophy behind that. So like, the philosophy in business for me is, if you're going to hire it doesn't matter right? If you hire someone, it's like joining the mafia. When you hire someone into your business, and you know what kind of business you got, you know you can't. The goal is to make friends. So when you hire somebody into your business, maybe there should be a unwritten written code amongst business owners. When you bring somebody into your business, they're a part of that family for life. Maybe you can't pay them for life. They're definitely not going to pay you, but they can kick up service to you. So if you got a kid who starts at a fast food restaurant, either they're going to have a good impression or a bad impression of fast food. If they have a good impression, then that's going to be the place that they come to eat. Why would they come to eat there? Because they love it there, number one, and then they know everything about it, right? Is it clean? Is it healthy? So on and so forth. Now, you got people, they'll work places for money. But then you'll know when you go to a place and they're like, hey, we're going to hire you for life. Whatever person you are, when we hired you, that doesn't matter, because whatever there's something in you that's great, and we can bring it out of you. So that's our goal. Our goal is to bring out your greatness, and we're all going to profit from it. It's not me as a business is going to, everybody you work with is going to profit from it. If you have a fast food restaurant, when you hire one person, you're hiring everybody that person went to high school with. I mean, you're making all of their friends, everybody that knows and trusts them, one of your customers instantaneously. But your business has to be top notch. It has to be like, they have to be proud. It has to be like a thing. This isn't just something. It's the thing. It's the flagship. And that can be done at any level. So anyway, that's me thinking through all these things. So from the perspective of a deck builder, when you're having this kind, and they're like, oh, well, how much would something like that cost? And you're like, well, it depends on your time frame, because you could have had this parameter set up. And I've watched people that one of my very first jobs that I was working in, there was a guy named Jay Booker, and he ran a computer shop. And how I got the job at that computer shop is mind blowing. But we're not going to get into that. Maybe in a different video. But he would, and I wasn't really thinking through it. I was thinking I was young, so I was still thinking that adults knew everything. And there were some that when you get older, you're like, they knew. Like, who were they? That person was a Jedi. I had a bunch of people who were like Jedi masters, and you have too. You know it. You've met them. You're like, whoa. Even people you've seen out in the world. Like my first mentor was Anthony Robbins. Now, my father was there, so I have to give my father respect too, because I watched my father work very, very hard. But then that's a different story. You get all sorts of stories. But I was also a son of a single mom. More stories, all kinds of stories. But if we backtrack to Jay Booker, in this computer shop he was running, he had motherboards, video cards, sound cards, everything you needed to build a computer you could get at his shop. And it was a nondescript shop, just on the, you wouldn't even know, I don't even think he had a sign out front. While I was there, he talked about a sign at one point, and it was like a short mention, like maybe we'll get a sign. And I got an idea of what he was wanted to do at that point. And then I was distracted by a girl, and it's not her fault, but that's what happened. I allowed myself to be distracted. And this goes to like the cyber engineering side of things, right? Because you have your internal references, then you have your external known references. And depending on your family and your upbringing, those external known reference sources, they could be faulty, right? This is education and everything. So if you saw a story that's incongruent with reality, you're constantly trying to reconcile why it is that the external world doesn't match the reality that you're in. And so your internal reference is always in this state of trying to figure this stuff out. And if that's the case, then you have some problems in life. And you can figure this out. Most people go to psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors. They take drugs, smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, like do crack, whatever it is that people do, is because they haven't found the outlet for what it is that they came here to do. Like they came here to shine in some kind of way. Like everything that doesn't grow or progress society or the individual is sacrilege, essentially. But because we, the body, the organism, it can only communicate like what is received to the you. And now I'm getting like super deep, so we're just gonna back it out a little bit. But all this stuff is related, and when you figure it out, like is you begin to understand like you as a person and what you're supposed to do. And when I go through these things, and I realize so back to Jay Booker, and then there was the CSSN garden, the garden concept. And so let's go back to Jay in this shop and how this relates to data and information, because I went on all these other concepts. I apologize. And now you're probably like, man, I want to hear about that other stuff. Maybe it'll come back up. And this is me. I didn't intend to talk about any of this stuff. I don't even remember what I came in here for, but I think this is relevant information for people who are thinking about data science. And this, anybody can use this stuff. Like the big academic people, they aren't thinking about this, but they can't build stuff, right? Somebody made the large language model and they're tuning it, but now it's at a point you just put in data, and that's all software is, but it has to have a purpose. You and every other individual that's watching this video up until this point are those people that have something, and it's not even related to technology. It could be something completely different. I know a guy, he started, when I first met him, he was growing mushrooms, and then he turned a whole camper into he turned it into a house on wheels, essentially. Like he had a full-size kitchen in there, a bedroom. And then the next time I saw him, he's in a wood shop, this big wood shop. So he's always got some stuff, and he's making stuff all the time. And I'm like, yo, man, and there's got to be hundreds of people like him across America. But then, right, you got to go to work during the day, and you're worrying about layoffs and all this stuff. And all this stuff gets in the way of these talents that people have. And I find that very interesting. So anyway, I've gone off on some tangents here. So in the shop, all this stuff that Jay had, he had to buy it or use credit to get it there to the shop. And then he had to price it up every time somebody bought a computer. And then he had to take it out of inventory. So he developed this entire system. And the program back in those days was Excel. And I have a story about that. When I first saw the spreadsheet, I said, this is the greatest program ever. It was instantaneous. This is the greatest program I've ever seen. You can use this to do everything. But I didn't have anybody in my circle. There were people in my circle in computer class and stuff. We talk about this stuff like, yeah, okay, all right. But all of those good conversations are overshadowed by the music, the media, and all the people who really didn't care about what it is that I was interested in. And that would have carried me right to where I am now sooner, but I wasn't meant to do that. I was meant to do this. Because we're at a time, the news is going to say all kinds of stuff. But look, we're at a time where you have the opportunity to change everything, but you don't have to go out and change the world. You do your thing, and that thing will inspire someone else to do their thing, and that thing will inspire someone else to do their thing, and then everybody's doing their thing. And whatever problems we have with the government and taxes is the biggest thing. Like that can be reversed. Right? One way to keep and I'm not going to go into it because it gets like all into this other stuff. This is about, right here we came for the data. What Jay was doing, right, he had this whole system, and he just built it inside of this spreadsheet application. And so now what I'm talking about is that not on steroids, not what any of these other people say. Like, this stuff only works for people that are obsessed with something. So you got to, if somebody's working at a business, this is going to fit. Like, they would tailor this, and then this would become a template for anybody else working in the business. And they would probably have their own AI assistant who who re-engineers this or helps them not mold the person to the thing, but molds the tool to the person. So when the accountant gets a phone call from someone who wants to build a deck, they don't know how to have that conversation. But they can be like, hey, right? Oh, so you want to build a deck? And you put that, and then their assistant knows, oh, you're the accountant, man. Here, tell them that so and so is in right now, and you're going to transfer them over if they want to talk to, if they want to get like the concrete information. And then the system can do that. Like, that's the kind of thing that you want these. But I don't know, maybe they would be custom tailored or custom engineered, but they wouldn't be difficult to do, using like first principle concepts. And then, yeah, if you got the right hardware, I would stay out of the cloud. And now I'm thinking out loud because I'm recording this, and this is going to go into context of this actual research that I'm doing here. If I zoom out and go back here, so I've got this note. This is me reminding myself that this is not just a video, that this is me doing what it is that I do on a regular basis, and reminding myself of why it is that I'm doing it. Because that's what technology should do. I should be able to come to just like someone could come to Jay's shop and say, I want a computer, and he could go into Excel. Now, he's the intelligence behind this. He's pulling all of this information out. But I should be able to go into my knowledge base and say, I need to grow some fruits and vegetables. And then it pulls up my information, relevant information, everything that I talked through in this other document, and then says, do this, and you're close to these places, or you order from here on a regular basis. Or this could be a book, right, related to your other book. Like, it's giving me all of this relevant information. It's not for me. It's telling me all the things that I can do for the world at large in reverse, right? All of this stuff, it will help you grow this garden that you just asked about, whether it be a piece of software, or a physical garden, or your business, or whatever it is, whatever you name your garden. You're starting with your information that you've researched and is relevant to you. This is what's available. These are the things you have to learn. This is what others have to say about this particular thing. And then you go, this is a hell yeah, I'm going to pursue this. Let's start here. And then now you begin to build your own base of knowledge. And then at the end of this whole thing, right, the goal is a garden, right? Go to this place, get these seeds. Go here, do this, go there, do this, go do this, do that. And if you're documenting this whole thing, once it's done, you've gone from an idea in your head to a garden. And then you can go from a garden to a book, and then from a book to a system, and then from a system to a product, from a product to a prototype. And then the prototype can be manufactured by you, or it can be manufactured by hundreds of people all across the United States with their own print farms or access to print farms, like time. And there's all these concepts I could get into. And I didn't come to talk about all that stuff, but what people would do is they would bring their computer, their idea to Jay. He would turn it into a computer. There's no reason why, after all of this time, we can't bring our idea to a computer and have it turn it into a reality. That's the whole thing. At some point, this is where machines will destroy humanity, is when you're able to think of something and have it instantaneously and not have to do any work for it. Like, what happens then, right? What if society becomes lopsided, right? To the consumption above creation, when creation is trivial. Anyway. And I anticipate that's what we're all working towards. And the universe pushes back at us a bit. But it also gives us motivation. Like all the things we see around us, all the people and all the fancy stuff, the stuff that we like, and we're like, I want to try that. That'd be cool, right? It sort of pulls us in that direction. But then, right, we got these big figures out there that done it, right? Oh, they did all this stuff, and that's sort of pushing us back, and then, so we're in this balance, and it's like this challenge that we're kept in between these two worlds, but we're always striving a little forward. And some people, man, they get caught in it, they get pushed all the way down. But then there's some that are thinking, we can keep elevating everybody, and we can. And then the more people that do it, it's like, okay, you'll be a millionaire, but then you'll have to become a billionaire so they can be a millionaire. But that the numbers don't matter. What matters is, did this person go from being unfulfilled and a drain on the people, the world around them, or did they find who they were in their full potential and began to become a life bringer to the world around them? And like, I anticipate that if everybody moves in that, like, there is. Someone told me once, I can't remember who it was or why they said it, but they were very specific that what you need will always come. And so if everybody's aiming in that direction, there will never be, you can't grow enough food. Like, that's the challenge. Can we, in I guess we're failing at it, but we don't have to. We keep getting these tools that give us the ability to not fail. It's interesting. But we've reached this point where we all guide each other into to some sort of employment to chase after this fictitious thing when we can create the real thing. And it's a little ego too, I guess. I go off on these tangents sometimes. In that shop, the idea, right? I covered it a bunch of times already. So I just wanted to come share that with you guys. I can't remember exactly where I started in this thing. And there was the CSS Zen garden. I came across this garden concept some time ago. And this website is very simple. It's one website, but you can change it to look like any of these websites. Now these would be called templates. But the beauty of this is this whole thing is served from the client side. So all the sites are extremely fast. And then you have animations and everything, but all the data is the same on all the sites. And one thing that no one has, like, I have a concept for this that I believe is very interesting. And that's why I'm going back down this road. And it's not even back down this. I understand that there's an evolution to reality in society. So in that sense, everybody gets a chance to be the hero in their own story. You just have to pick the part. You just, when you pick, the universe will move in that direction. And if you move without fear in that direction, the things will start to come together. And it won't be the way that you think. Like, you can't plan it out. You just got to follow the course, follow your instinct, and you'll see the signs, and then you just go in that direction. This right here that I'm showing you is this. I came across the site as soon as it came out, I think 2003 or something like that. I'm not positive though. But all this information is the same on every page that we look at. So if we go over here, I don't even know how to get. So next design, let's see, next design. All right. So, so look, they take us to a page that shows us the actual CSS. And then they give us the graphics of all. So this is like this fun stuff from the internet that's sort of lost, where we can see that, but the technology has a purpose. In this case, it's to teach us about CSS. But when somebody has a business or something, or you have a business, like, there's something that you do. And then when somebody finds it, like, it's because they're looking for it. And so if you're just the best at being out there, you'll be what people think of. And then after that is, what kind of experience do they have? And it can, oh man, there's some concepts here. What I want to do is I want to get to another design though. I was looking at this CSS in garden design. There we go. So let's see, fountain kiss, right? All the same information, different maneuvering to put it on the page in different. So you would think this is a bunch of different websites. This is all the same website. It's just a different layout, a different. Maybe some texts have been omitted in some of these. In some places you have images that have been added, but it's all the same. And this is like another reason why this is appeals to me is because it shows what reality is really made of. It's all words. It's words and perspective and colors. And so you put things together in a way that's pleasing to you. And then you have people, if you're a business, they come be close to you. So whatever you magnetize yourself to be is what is going to come close to you. And then it starts in thought and then it goes into action. If you just follow what it is your thoughts are telling you to do to bring you the things that you want to have, that you say you want to have, then you'll get them. But many of us are programmed out of these things. Education has been very detrimental to that. And then we end up in, seeing psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff. But going all the way back to the original data concept, let's see what other notes I have in here. CSS in Gartner return to the first principles of technology, right? And then we had this complete write-up here. Let's see what we got. Labs Inc. knowledge-based common concepts. And so, so I capture these thoughts every day. And I've been doing so since I discovered this is an older application. But even before that, because we have Simple Note, we have Evernote, I got a lot of ideas to publish along the lines of business, software engineering, team building. Look, I can take any number if give me 2 or more who know nothing about technology, but they want to learn. Whatever it is they want to build, if they listen and put their minds in the right direction, they can learn. Not only can they can master the technology probably in a very short period of time, depending on what they're doing in the outside world, and turn that into and they don't even have to master the technology. They could, whatever it is that they're after, it can be an idea. It's not like you have to, if you really want to be in the oil business, for instance, there's a way to go about being in the oil business. What part of the oil business do you want to be in, and how realistic is it in your mind that you could do the work required of that position? If you can solidify that, then I can help you get there. You want to start a business or oil, it doesn't matter, right? There's no universal formula, but there's some first principles that anybody can follow. And it just starts with organizing your thoughts into words, and then into ideas, into concepts, and then turning those concepts into actions, and then turning those actions into artifacts in the real world that lead to the next thing. All right. So I've been practicing writing emails in video scripts without knowing I was practicing writing emails in video scripts. But a lot of these things are empty. If we go in here, there's not a lot of information in here. This is just one diagram for a thing. But if I go through these on a regular basis, and because they're inside of my system, I know that all these things are related. At any moment, I can return here, and I can just pick up any concept at random, and it's going to be related to something else that I'm doing. So that's what a business is. It's different for a business owner. Being able to pick up any concept of the business at any time would be, I don't know, interesting, I guess. But then where does that information come from? It's not generated in a bunch of meetings and all this stuff. It's generated in the work, in the product, in the process. Are the processes optimized? Are the people happy? Like, it doesn't matter if people work 8 hours a day. If we get it kind of backwards, and I'm going to go in, I'll say this is the last part, is the economy is built on joy. It's 2 parts, fear and joy. When people are fearful, they'll stay in and they'll buy stuff. When people are joyful, they'll go out and they'll buy stuff. You want an economy of joy. But to get to the economy of joy, See, I lost the thought a little bit there. This is, yeah. So in modern society, we sell fear because fear creates a subscription based mentality. If you subscribe to joy, you don't need anything. And that creates a quality based mentality. So you're happy. It's like, okay, I could use another house, but I don't need one. This one's fantastic. And then somebody has to convince you that what you think is fantastic is not fantastic. Oh, well, you got popcorn ceilings. Okay, all right. And then if you consider what they're saying long enough, you go, oh man, this house is really terrible. I need another house. And then you go out to get another house and it looks really nice. And you believe it's going to be as nice as the house that you have. But it turns out that it's not. It's colder. Why is that? Well, because it's not made of the same material. The popcorn ceilings add a little bit of insulation. And then your last house, it had insulation because you put it in there. But this one, it doesn't have it. And you didn't ask for it. And if you did ask for it, it would have raised the cost. Like the seller's not going to worry about selling to you if they have to lower the price and add insulation. And then the bricks, those bricks outside, they aren't real. I mean, they're real, but they're not real. How real are they? The wood's not treated, right? The walls are paper thin. There's all kinds of stuff. And like houses have become, and I'm using like as a filler word, progressively worse over the years because the quality. People, right? And it's not that we're addicted to borrowing and addicted to finance. We're addicted to pursuing what we're told is the nicest thing without actually getting the nicest thing. And so many of us sell our time to get these fake things that don't exist. And that's slavery. But if you taught it like that in school, then people wouldn't subject themselves to it. They drop out of school immediately, like Bill Gates and Michael Dell and Steve Jobs and every other famous mogul that you've ever heard of with the story of they came from nothing. And then when you go to investigate, it's like phantom fairy dust. The story all falls apart. Oh, this guy's a master programmer, but you've never seen him write any code. He's never had a conversation about it. This guy's a master business person. But you never seen him do door to door. Like, how did he manage this thing? How do you manage 1,000 bottles out of your trunk? How do you do this? Like, what was that process? And maybe it exists, or maybe it's just never asked because that's the part you don't give away. You don't tell people the process. So what is the process? You just write it down first. That's it. You got an idea to do something. Some people take action fast. It's like, oh, I'm going to sell CDs out the trunk of my car. All right, then try it. You got to try it. If you think it's possible for them, then you got to try it as soon as possible. So you got to get some CDs. They don't even have to have music on them. Go try. Got a course? Don't even have to have a course. Just make it and put it online. Go try. And just keep trying and not keep trying different stuff. Like sometimes you just got to keep showing up to the thing because people got to see you more than once. But before you do anything, you got to have the thought. You get the thought, then you take the actions, then you get the physical thing, right? But when you have the thought, because we're in a digital world, you don't need the physical thing, right? The concept, and then the delivery of the concept, and then how often you show up with the concept. If somebody sees you once, and they see the same thing over and over again, which is like seeing you once. And this is like that goes into marketing and advertising. In a world where there's infinite technology, why is it that the person who's going to change your life like doesn't even change their video? There could be a new ad every day. Why shouldn't there be? Well, because we did this and we tested it and it works. It gets us the most money. Then is it the money or the message? Well, I don't know. That's for you to decide out there, my friends. So hopefully you got something out of this thing. I didn't intend to record that much, but it was a lot of information. And I covered a lot of bits of my system here. The software that I'm using to do all of this is called Obsidian. And I'm just going to show you what it is, Edge. There's a couple software, but Obsidian is the text editing software that you see. This is the core. This is the it's not open source, meaning that you can't see how they do all of the functions in the background. But I've studied them, and I know I could. It would take me some time to recreate this particular piece of software, but it acts as a very good foundation for what they're doing. And it's all web technology. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is everything that this is written in. And then on the back end, they've created an API system using local other software packages in native, probably native languages, to facilitate a lot of the things that go on inside of the software because of the way it interacts with the underlying system. But the most important thing, probably, not one of the most significant things, is the plugin system. So you have this ability to you can, well, number one, you can link back and forth between your documents. So it's like your own personal internet. Then you got these graph views, so you can visualize your information. I don't use those too often. I constructed my whole business in Canvas, and this was for an actual contracting business with everything I need in there. And then I use the plugins to do it, essentially, right? In that, like, in a weird kind of way. So like I have the calendar plugin that I use, and I can see dates and everything. I don't have a Kanban plugin. Like I use data view. It's just, there's so many different things, but I use the system primarily to capture my thoughts and ideas, and as a test bed for data shaping and data analysis, so I can research and execute on ideas. And then I was using this stuff as a software engineer, and that's like probably where I really started to look at data. It was my very first full-time role as a software engineer above 6 figures a year. And it was a great opportunity. Unfortunately, I had a lot of bad, I don't know, it was a bad, not year. It started out good, but then towards like the end of the year and into the next year, things just got bad. My mom passed away and stuff like that. And so I was just really in this weird mental space. At some point, as I was going through this though, right, I started to realize all these different things related to like the esoteric or the divine or whatever it is you want to call it. And I started studying data in relation to psychology. And then this was, and prior to all of this, we had COVID. And that's because there's some things that led me into that COVID time, which is when I really started doing this research, but it started to solidify after I entered this data job, and I was studying these information types all day, every day. But I left that role because of these personal issues, and then I went into another role like pretty immediately. And I thought, I was gonna make more money, and so I thought more money was gonna fix all of the other stuff that was going on, and it actually made it worse. So if I'd have stayed and I knew it, like I saw everything that was going to happen in my mind before it happened. And I was researching it at the same time, but I hadn't coalesced all this information the way that I was just realizing it at that moment. And so my subconscious was like, well, okay, let's see if this is true. And so that's what I did, right? I left less money, but better, way better. Life was better. Everything I was doing was in conjunction with what I was doing. It all lined up perfect. And then like clockwork, I started to get offers from other places. And it was like, don't take them. You're where you're supposed to be. But then I was having these issues in my life, and it was like, well, more money will make it better. But that's the temptation. Never do it for the money. That's one thing I learned. Never do it for the money, and you'll get the money you need. You'll always have enough. Doesn't matter. You'll always have enough. But don't do it for the money. You got to do it. You'll get opportunities, where if you carry them in a certain direction, but if you start moving for money, like the money is an effect. That's one of the tricks of society. Like the money comes as a effect of something you did, not. And I mean that's obvious, I guess, but if you're chasing the money specifically, when you get it, it's going to be gone. And if you're not, it'll just come and it'll just be there. And then when somebody with like it becomes it's you can make everything around you better. That's the point, right? And then you can see it all begins in your mind. That's what I realized. That's what I've been attempting to decipher, I suppose. But then there's this world that you see out in the world, and it leads you to ask all these questions. Well, if there's a God, then why this? And if there's this, and then why that? That's that's the test. That's the test of the meditation of life. Can you find your thing and synthesize it into your own garden of knowledge, of physicality, whatever it is, high rise, you want to live in a high rise building, you want to live in a boat, a yacht, whatever it's yours. But it has to be your, if somebody else is giving it to you and you can't explain why you're after that thing other than, I don't know, good luck getting it when you start chasing it. It's never going to come. At any rate, team, I did turn the music on, but I like to talk, so I get into it sometimes. But over on my website, f0110w.com, you can find all kinds of stuff to get in touch with me. It's not a little, a community. This is the front part of a business idea, right? And so everything needs to be funded. I could go to the bank and I could use whatever talents I have to borrow a bunch of money and then go sell a bunch of stuff and just do things real quick. But then I'm in debt, and then I have to work against the clock, and I have to work against some constraints, and I have to work against the interest payments at some point. If you go out and borrow $1 million to hire, 7 people to do a thing, when you go back to pay the bank, it's going to be at 7% right now, depending on how it's calculated. You may have to pay back $1,200,000, So now that's money you can't use for other stuff. Any business should be funded by its customers, by its constituents, by its subscribers. So I have a whole plan that I've been working on, unlike anybody else's plan. That's why I'm here saying all this stuff and I'm talking to you, because every day, everything that you've seen in this video from beginning to end, that's what I'm doing pretty much 8 to 16 hours a day. And it doesn't look like work sometimes because I just look at the internet sometimes, because everybody just looks at the internet. I literally went to a place, I would commute 4 hours a day, and I would watch the person, full-time staff, making 2-3 times more than me, at least, right? Insane amounts of money. Well, what some might say. And while I was working, and they could afford to live. They could afford to live right next door if they wanted to. Now, I'm not saying everybody has it well off, and they're but the point is, I was commuting, and I was happy. I would come in and I would spend my my, compared to the paychecks that I was walking around next to, my money was little. It was a lot for me, but it was a little for everybody else. And I realized that when I was working at a different place. That's a whole different story. But that's what I talk about on in the F Society. Like, and then I've recorded a lot of videos, but then there's videos that I think about uploading, but I don't, because I don't have any questions about them. I'm just talking into the void. But I understand that there are some people that are interested in these things that I'm talking about, so I can come and be like, hey, and I'm going to be doing more of that. But the ultimate goal is this publication and people starting and doing their own thing, because that's going to get people excited about where they're living and what's going on. There's people stealing from us all around us all the time. They run as politicians, and then they make all these deals, or they, and you can tell by where you live, like how it how is it? If it's a mess, right? Say for instance, and now I'm capturing these thoughts because this is a long form piece of content that I can go back through, and like it's not for me to publish and tell a bunch of stories to people. Like I'm thinking through, okay, if you have a community with a bunch of single mothers, how can you turn that community around? Yeah, these moms, their kids have to go to school, but the schools are horrible, so the kids can't read. Like if somebody's running for office in a place, that should be their focus. But then you're up against, you can't fire teachers because they have a union. So the moms have to take the kids out of school. What are the moms? And a lot of moms are working. That's why the kids are in school. So they can't take the kids out of school. And then there's moms, they aren't working. And the kids go to school and the mom just hangs out all day, goes on day dates. For some guys, those are the best kind of women. Their kids are in school, they just go on day dates. It's for some men, those are the worst kind of women, because while they're at work, right, if they're married, but then I'm talking about single moms here, right? The ones that are trying, and they've given their kids over to some system, like those are the communities that need large scale white collar jobs. And so how do you get those jobs to those communities? You need people who are interested in starting businesses, and these businesses have to, right? And it's not about, like, anybody who wants to do something can learn it if they're comfortable, especially a woman, right? In this, but see, these people in the world, politicians and stuff, they use it against us, right? They create fear. All the mom wants is somebody who can take care of her kid. Unfortunately, she got in this situation. Somebody has to take care of the children. And school is the best option, but we know school's not working because every year something gets crazier, or at least so the news tells us. Maybe not in our physical worlds, but for some of us, well, it depends. It depends. Look, my world hasn't been like that. I see stuff on the news. I've driven past stuff and I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't experience these things that I see in the news. But maybe I'm not supposed to, because I'm supposed to be in my sphere doing what I'm doing, and then bringing that knowledge and information to those who are out there who are like, yo, I don't understand what's going on. Because I was out there and I didn't understand what was going on. When I say I was out there, I mean mentally. I was out there. I see it, like it comes up on YouTube, but I know I can choose to watch it or not. I know I can choose to close all of the windows and just go and work on my own thing. Go record this video. Go write this thing down. Go draw this picture. Go do this thing. Go deliver some value to someone. So at the end of it, they go, oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I get it. And because that's what this whole thing is built on. It's built on giving help. It's not even helping, right? It's all fiction. It's all based on feelings. If you can give a nice meal is a good feeling. A nice house is a good feeling. A nice car is a good feeling. We've reached this place where we will lie about the feeling that we're going to give people. We fix it up so it looks nice, but the inside is not nice. The inside doesn't work. It's not conducive to our full potential. And so that's what I've been working on. And I'm like, I've had this idea for years, but then I get in this place and I get all stressed. Oh, what if nobody likes it, or somebody thinks it's stupid, or I spelled this word wrong? I don't want to read all this text over and over again. I don't want to do any of that stuff, man. But there's other people that do. And that's what a business is. Just a bunch of people that came together with their own unique skills, and they were obsessed with some stuff. And the future of business is not 8 hours a day. There's somebody who they do their best paperwork at 3 a.m. And if there's a place where people come to work and they're working and they're filing paperwork and they're like, I hate this shit, there's an employee for them. But how does that employee find that place? It's not the traditional systems. It's a different kind of, Like all this stuff is going to take a different kind of mindset. And then some businesses, they got to be replaced by other people. So you got people who got to go out and buy businesses. People got to optimize businesses. People got to turn businesses around. And this happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's people who just look, there's somebody out there in the world, they love to clean bathrooms. They love it. If they could just clean 10 bathrooms a night, that's a business right there. $100, $10,000 business. I will make your bathroom sparkle. Look, your bathroom's all jacked up. I got a contractor. They'll come and they'll fix your bathroom right up. Go to the contractor. Hey, go to the business. Hey, yeah. If you go in a high-end restaurant and the bathroom's all messed up, it's all dirty and filthy, think through the process. Okay, man, like there's a lot of things we can do to get rid of bad business, to get rid of bad people, to get rid of bad situations, to get rid of all the negative stuff that we want to. We just have to be the positive stuff. I'm looking for the people. I'm not even looking. I'm magnetizing myself. I've been magnetized for a long time. I don't put out the videos. I don't put out the message in the right way. I've been distracted by all the same stuff everybody else gets distracted about. Oh, so-and-so's doing this in the news. So-and-so's doing that in the news. Who cares? If they're doing bad, they can come find me and I could turn it around for them. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, if it's in alignment with my, what do you call it? Core values, I can help you achieve it. And I don't need to go through it here. We've got the mailing list and we got the society. And I have a series of courses that I'm working on too. Not courses. I'm probably going to get rid of anything that I have that's called a course, because nobody needs somebody to walk them step by step through a thing. There's some basic things, and then you can ask some questions about those things. And so I know some stuff. I'm a technologist. You've seen me here on the computer, right? So anybody who I don't know how to use the computer, all right, okay. Get into society. Tell me what it is that you want to know that you can't find out on Google. And I will build that specific thing. And the community will build that specific thing. And then the society will turn it into a product that other people can buy out in the world. And then that money from that product, it'll fund future development in the society where I can develop software. And not me. I don't want to do all this stuff. I don't want to work 8, 16, however many hours a day. There's somebody who could execute my idea in 5 minutes. And somebody else who could verify. And then there's a guy who wants to 3D print. He's trying to figure it out. There's somebody who knows all about 3D printing. They could send them a configuration file and that thing is working the way it should. Tell them exactly what printer to buy because they got the same printer. Hook those printers together through a cloud system set up by somebody else on the network. So now somebody can go to a website and order a thing. And if it takes more than one part, one's printed here and one's printed there, and then it pops off and it sends them an email. And both these guys, they just take those parts and they put them in a box, and both boxes are sent to the person, and then boom, they got the two pieces, they put them together, they got their thing. Or there's an infinite number of other configurations. Life is Legos now, people. F0110W.com. In the society, I can teach you, I can help you, I can assist you in doing anything that you want to do that would be good, should be for you. That's what I've been working on my entire existence. I got nothing to sell you but yourself. If you do what I say, you will get what you want. And if you want to learn anything about anything that you've seen me talk about here, go into the society and ask me the questions. F0110W.com. Link in the description below. If there's any portion of this video that you liked and you're like, whoa, that's super dope, leave a comment below. Hey, look, right? It's a long video. It's a lot of videos. You want to chop this thing up? Let me know. In the society. There's an affiliate program. I haven't even put it together yet because I haven't even got to that portion. In the society. We're building a community of obsessed people from all walks of life. Right? You ain't got to do nothing. You can sit back and just learn and just give encouragement. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. But here we're here to execute. And there's no dumb questions. There's no scamming. There's no spamming. There's no hamming. There's no ego here. It's all for fun and profit. For funds and profits. Till next time, team. I'm your biggest fan.